A prosperous life is not the product of a single grand decision. It is the inevitable harvest of simple habits planted with consistency and watered with daily faith. The most profound misconception about chaos is the belief it's a problem of time. It is not. It is a problem of sovereignty. If you examine any creation story, the first act is always the establishment of order. Light separated from darkness, land from sea. The divine does not operate in tumult. There is no sustainable abundance where there is a confusion of purpose. You pray for a new reality, yet you cling to the very routines that manufacture the reality you're trying to escape. Napoleon Hill's research proved this. Your complex destiny is merely the sum total of simple habits repeated with stubborn persistence. Intention does not move the needle, ritual does. Your subconscious mind does not bargain with wishes, it responds to firm command, to daily repetition. Most of us are trapped in a cycle of elegant chaos. Right now, I need you to pause, go to the comments, and declare this phrase with clear intent. I am building a life of order and abundance in 2026. Why this pause? Because faith requires a record. Your brain needs a written commitment. This is not a vague hope. It is a focus alignment, an internal positioning that tells your nervous system to stop reacting and start constructing. You register the decision, and the universe, the resonance of your kingdom, begins to respond. The order we seek for 2026 is not that of a bookshelf, but of your mind. If your mind is at war, your environment will be a battlefield. Organizing your life isn't about moving faster, but about finding the correct rhythm. It's about constancy, not frantic effort. Let's begin with the 10 acts of fidelity that reorganize the soul and, by consequence, your reality. Habit 1. Begin the day with a definite chief aim. The most neglected habit is to start with direction. It's not about what you have to do, but who you decide to be in the first hour. A clear aim is a filter. It reduces the anxiety we feel when 1,000 paths lie open. Without this internal compass, your energy scatters like leaves in a storm, leaving you busy but bankrupt, devoid of meaningful progress by day's end. The demon of disorganization thrives on diffuse anxiety. It makes you run in circles, spending energy on tasks that do not move the needle of your life. Napoleon Hill called this the definite chief aim. He didn't see it as a mere to-do item. He defined it as a definite purpose backed by a definite plan. Before you touch your phone, before you swallow the first piece of bad news, you must define the true north of your day. This is where you integrate Hill's principle of going the extra mile. Your aim shouldn't be to merely survive the day, but to invest 1 ounce of effort beyond what is expected, even if by no one but yourself. Imagine a startup founder, Sarah. For 2 years, her mornings began by frantically checking emails, putting out fires, and reacting to her team's urgencies. Her days were long, but her company was stagnant. The breakthrough came when she committed to one non-negotiable ritual. Before opening any app, she would write in her journal, "Today, my chief aim is to advance our core product by securing one key partnership." This single sentence became her filter. Meetings that didn't serve this aim were declined. Urgent tasks were delegated. Within 90 days, her focus had attracted 2 major partners and clarified her company's entire trajectory. She wasn't working harder, she was working with sovereign direction. If you don't know what you're hunting, you shoot at everything. And spending ammunition on the wrong targets is the very definition of programmed failure. Clarity of purpose is the first step toward the seal of faith. Habit 2. The hygiene of your daily word. What you repeat to yourself about yourself is what you are teaching your subconscious to create. Your word carries theological weight. Scripture says life and death are in the power of the tongue. This isn't rhetoric, it's mental engineering.
Napoleon Hill deeply understood this, weaving it into his principle of auto-suggestion, the medium for influencing the subconscious mind. Every word you utter is a suggestion you are planting. If you define yourself as scattered, behind, or unworthy, your nervous system enters a state of agreement. It will do everything to justify your prophecy. Stop using words that shrink your field of action. Don't say, "I can't handle this." Say, "I am developing the capacity." Don't say, "I'm broke." Say, "My finances are in a state of strategic reorganization." Your word shapes your emotional focus, and emotional focus is what attracts or repels the kingdom's resonance. Disorder begins when you accept a narrative of inadequacy. Consider the story of Michael, a talented artist plagued by the starving artist myth. He constantly narrated his struggle. "My art doesn't sell. The market is too saturated. I'm just not lucky." His reality perfectly mirrored his words. The shift began when he challenged himself to a 30-day verbal fast. He banned any language of lack from his vocabulary. Instead of, "I can't afford a studio," he stated, "I am aligning with the perfect creative space." He changed, "No one buys my paintings," to, "My work is finding its ideal collectors." This wasn't naive positivity, it was disciplined reprogramming. Within those 30 days, he received an unexpected commission that covered 6 months of expenses. His art hadn't changed, the command to his subconscious had. Habit 3. The simplicity that defeats excess. Plan the day's bedrock. People fail at routines because they try to build a cathedral in a day. They create impossible lists of 20 items and wake up already feeling defeated. Power lies not in the volume of tasks, but in the essentiality of tasks. 3 things, the rule of 3. What are the 3 actions that, if completed today, will make the biggest difference? If you end the day having done only those 3, you have won. Self-trust is not a gift, it is a trophy you earn by keeping small commitments. Simplicity is wisdom. Complexity is the fear of choosing. This is the practical application of Hill's principle of organized planning. A plan is not a wish list, it is a ruthless prioritization of the few actions that leverage the greatest result. A client of mine, David, was drowning in administrative work for his small business. He had a 50-item Trello board that felt like a chain around his neck. We instituted the rule of 3. Each evening, he would ruthlessly select the one revenue-generating task, the one relationship-nurturing task, and the one system improvement task for the next day. The first week felt insufficient, almost lazy. By the 4th week, he realized he had not only accomplished more of true value, but had also freed up 15 hours previously lost to busy work. His subconscious stopped rebelling against an overwhelming plan and began cooperating with a clear, achievable one. Habit 4. Keep the minute commitments. Deep disorganization is, in truth, a crisis of self-trust. We lie to ourselves about small things. We say we'll start work at 8 a.m., but start at 9:30. We say we'll make that important call before lunch and postpone it. This erosion is silent but catastrophic. Your subconscious is watching every broken promise. Each tiny breach is a vote of distrust you deposit in yourself. Hill spoke of the supreme importance of persistence, but it is built on this micro-level integrity. It isn't manifested in grand sacrifices, but in fidelity to the small word given. You must prove to yourself that you are trustworthy. Fulfill what you promised to do in the next 5 minutes. This micro-fidelity paves the road for the grand conquests of 2026. I learned this through personal pain. I promised myself I'd write 500 words each morning. For months, I'd negotiate. Well, I'll do it after coffee, after emails, tomorrow. My writing stalled, and a general fog of procrastination settled over everything. The turnaround wasn't a massive effort. It was the decision to keep the first promise of the day, to get out of bed at the first alarm, just that one thing, then to drink the glass of water by my bed, then to open the document. By honoring these minute sequential commitments, I rebuilt the neural pathway of self-trust. Within a month, the 500 words flowed effortlessly. The universe doesn't finance promissory notes you won't cash with yourself.
Habit 5. Organize your immediate environment. I'm not talking about a whole house cleanse, but your desk, your drawer, your phone's foam screen. Your external environment is a mirror of your internal decisions. A chaotic environment forces your brain to spend energy filtering visual noise. This is pure energetic disorganization. This connects to Hill's concept of a pleasing personality, which begins with order and harmony. A pleasing personality is not about being likable. It's about creating a vibration of coherence that attracts opportunity. Chaos repels. If your desk is littered with random papers, your mind will be cluttered with random thoughts. It's a direct and immediate relationship. Dr. Bruce Lipton's work in epigenetics proved the environment shapes cellular behavior. If the external environment is chaos, your body and mind enter survival mode, not creation mode. Organize the square meter where you work. It is an act of respect for your focus. A lawyer I coached was constantly missing details and feeling overwhelmed. His office looked like a paper bomb had detonated. Our first intervention had nothing to do with law. It was a 3-hour session to create a system for his desk. A single inbox tray, one folder for active cases, a clean digital desktop. He reported feeling lighter the next day. Within a week, his mental clarity had improved so dramatically that he spotted a critical error in a contract that had eluded him for days. The saved liability was 6 figures. His environment had been costing him real money and peace. Habit 6. Practice intentional silence. Modern disorganization is primarily the disorganization of noise. We are addicted to constant stimulus. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of discernment. If you do not quiet yourself, the voice of your intuition, the voice of your higher direction, cannot be heard. Hill referred to this as infinite intelligence, a source of wisdom accessible only when the static of the conscious mind is stilled. You spend the day reacting to notifications, requests, manufactured urgencies. You aren't living, you're being pushed by the tide. Intentional silence is when you recalibrate your purpose. 10 minutes in the morning, no music, no news, just breath and the question, what is essential today? Less noise means more power of choice, and order begins with good choices. Thomas, a hedge fund manager operating in a literal tower of noise, screaming traders, blinking terminals, constant news, was burning out. His decisions became reactive and shaky. He began the practice of the morning void. For 10 minutes, he would sit in his car before entering the building in total silence. He did not pray or plan, he just listened. In that space, a quiet certainty would often emerge, a gut feeling about a trade, a realization about a personnel issue. These insights, which he called downloads from the quiet, became his most reliable edge in a chaotic market. The silence didn't give him more information, it gave him the wisdom to use the information he already had. Habit 8. The regular care of the temple. Physical discipline sustains mental clarity. If your body is a disorganized temple, your mind will be a flea market. Sleep is neural housekeeping. Nutrition is clean fuel. Movement is the release of emotional stagnation. A brilliant financial plan is useless if you're too exhausted to execute it. Energetic disorganization is the greatest thief of productive time.
Hill insisted that sound health was the starting point for all riches, and he also warned against the 6 basic fears, one of which is the fear of ill health. This fear manifests as neglect, which then creates the very illness you fear, locking you in a cycle of low energy and disordered thinking. An organized body is physical proof you take your life seriously. This isn't about vanity, it's about signal integrity. Your body is the antenna through which you receive and transmit the frequency of your desires. A corrupted, low-energy signal attracts only weak and chaotic results. Habit 8. Banish the comparison reflex. Comparison is the disorganization of purpose. When you compare, you take your eyes off your path and place them on someone else's. This steals energy that should be used to build your life. The success of others, seen on social media, is always an edited version, without the price, the sacrifice, the pain. Hill identified the fear of criticism as a primary mind parasite. Comparison is the playground of this fear, where you outsource your self-worth to an invisible jury. Comparison breeds envy, and envy is a poison that confuses your identity and destroys your focus. Your calling is unique. Your rhythm is your own. If you're always looking sideways, you'll trip on your own path. Keep your eyes on the finish line you defined for 2026. Spiritual alignment only functions when you are in sync with your own divine blueprint.
Habit 9. The Weekly Council of One. Disorder doesn't happen suddenly. It is the accumulation of small, uncorrected errors. You need a moment, preferably Sunday night, to be your own advisor. Where did I spend my time this week? Did I honor my 3 daily priorities? Did I keep my minute commitments? The review is not punishment, it is course correction. Small adjustments prevent great disasters. If you wait a month to correct your course, you've drifted too far, and the effort to return is colossal. This ritual is the embodiment of Hill's principle of accurate thought. It is the weekly audit where you separate facts from feelings, results from wishes. A prosperous life is one that allows itself to be corrected in time. It is the humility to admit what didn't work and the discipline to chart a better course for the next 7 days. This council is where you chair the meeting of your past and future self, ensuring one is accountable to the other. Habit 10. Sleep with a clean mind. To end the day in peace is the most powerful preparation for the next. Do not carry unresolved conflicts and pending matters to your pillow. Perform a mental download before lying down. Write pending tasks, worries, and confused feelings on paper. Tell yourself, this is recorded. I will handle it tomorrow. Joseph Murphy taught that the last thought before sleep is the command your subconscious will work on all night. Hill echoed this with the principle of cosmic habit force, the universal tendency for habits to become ingrained. The last mental state you cultivate is the habit you feed to the cosmos. If you sleep amidst mental chaos, you authorize it. Morning panic isn't caused by a lack of time, it's caused by a lack of boundaries. Your life isn't disorganized because you have too much to do, but because you refuse to say no to the day's emotional residue. The principle is clear from creation. Order is not a virtue, it is the foundation. If God is not a God of confusion, then the confusion you tolerate in your home, your workspace, and especially in your mind is evidence of a spiritual refusal to accept the command of prosperity. You pray for growth, but sleep in disorder. Most people spend a lifetime waiting for success to arrive, not realizing success is merely the reflection of the routines they have already accepted. The subconscious, as Murphy explained, doesn't understand vague intentions. It only understands repetition and command. Now, I need you to pause, go to the comments, and declare with clear intent, I am building a life of order and abundance in 2026. This is not a wish, it is a commitment register. Your brain needs to see the decision written so the psychological commitment can begin its work, aligning your focus and behavior so that spiritual alignment can manifest. Disorder is the only miracle most people produce effortlessly. It is the inertia, the gravity of the soul. Napoleon Hill was precise. Destiny is not built in dramatic moments, but in the monotonous repetition of invisible habits. Organizing your life is not a Herculean sprint. It is the constancy of small motions. It is the recognition that your external life is only the shadow of your internal life. If the shadow is chaotic, the interior is at war. You don't need a haphazard reinvention. You need fidelity. Apply these 10 commands. Let them reorganize the resonance of your kingdom. The order you seek in 2026 is waiting, not in a new method, but in your faithful repetition of the timeless, simple, and profound.